What's up, guys, and welcome to another Tekkit tutorial.
Yeah, so now we're going to be covering the Mark V's.
Now, we should note that we couldn't find any Mark IVs. We were just looking in Nargon's reactors, but we couldn't find any in general.
The difference between Mark 4s and Mark 5s is that Mark 5s melt down the components, so you will need to make more uh, coolant cells and dispersers.
Now, these don't last for a huge amount of time, and they require a huge cooldown.
So the first one we're going to show you is a Mark 5B. 5B.
And this is an efficiency of 3. It takes 18 uranium cells, and it creates 540 EUs per tick.
So this is set up right there, and you should only run it for 10 minutes and 25 seconds, and you have to cool it down for an hour and 15 minutes.
So just make sure that your run time isn't any more than 625 seconds.
So we're going to move on to another Mark 5B, but it's a bit more efficient.
So the efficiency is 3.1, so a little bit more, and it takes 20 uranium cells.
It's going to be making 620 EU per tick, and it runs for the same amount of time, 625 seconds, but the cooldown is an hour and 35 minutes, so 25 minutes longer.
So it's a little more efficient, a few more cells, lots of more power, but it takes a little bit more to cool down.
Yeah. So guys, I think this is going to be the last video on this server, and we'll be moving on to a new server to make the tutorials and advanced builds.
Now, we did all of this on this server legit, but on the next one we're going to be spawning things in because we just don't have the time to put into that
Yeah, and if you want to see us to do stuff legit, then you can watch your Let's Play where we're basically doing everything from scratch without spawning in anything.
And you guys are pretty much going to see everything that we do. There isn't going to be much that goes on off camera, just the boring stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be moving on to the new server, and we'll see you there.
Okay, so now we're over here in our other server, and we're going to be showing you a breeder, actually.
Yeah. So we're actually using Tekkit 3, and we'll show you this new item here called a thermometer.
Right, so a thermometer, when you right-click a reactor, it gives you the temperature, and it also gives you a little more information when you use a digital thermometer.
Yeah. The digital one also needs um, to be charged with EU.
It's basically the electric tool equivalent of the thermometer,
Yeah.
so it requires power.
So on here we're going to show you how to make a uranium salt from a re-enriched one.
So you take a near depleted and put it next to coal dust.
And you get a re-enriched, on my bad, a depleted isotope cell.
And then you put the re-enriched one next to coal dust again, and it creates a uranium cell. Now, to go from depleted isotope to re-enriched, you're going to need a breeding reactor.
So the breeding reactor first needs to be heated, and this is going to be your heating setup.
So those 4 buckets represent regular uranium cells. Now, we will note that this didn't quite work for us, but that's because when you spawn in nuclear components in this game, they don't really work the same way.
Yeah. So in the heating configuration, it should be making 120 EUT, and you have to heat it up to 9,000 to 10,000 heat, which takes 35 minutes and 4 seconds.
Now notice our heat is going up here.
You can also put in lava buckets to heat it up faster. Each lava bucket adds 162 heat, I think.
Right, so basically the runtime for this to get about to 9,000-ish heat takes about 35 minutes, 4 seconds when you have water running. So if you take out the water, it's a little bit less time, but it's not really worth it if you have any troubles.
So, and this new one here is the breather configuration, and those depleted isotope cells became re-enriched ones.
So they almost immediately after putting them in worked and became re-enriched, but that's because, again, we said it wasn't really working that well, and because of the spawning things in. But it should take more time, and the more heat that you have, the better it is.
Yeah, the faster they go.
Now, in the breeding configuration, it shouldn't actually be losing heat. You only need to use the heating one, and then it should stay the exact same heat all the time. But because it's not re-enriching the cells in our case, it started to lose heat.
Yeah, and once you have the re-enriched cell, you just put it beside coal dust to get a brand new uranium cell.
Now, I'm going to try and put a link in the description for Nargon's reactors so you guys can check them all out yourself. We've now completed all of the ones that he has. So if I forget to do that, just comment, tell me. I usually forget these things.
Yep.
So now we're going to do a little bit of myth busting, I guess.
Yeah, we're back in the old server. That's kind of like a goodbye to it. And we're testing if TNT will blow up a reactor. Like, will make it go off.
Now, I'm pretty sure someone asked this question to us.
Yeah.
In this case, it just blew up the components as if they were anything else.
Yeah, only the TNT blew up. The actual reactor didn't go off.
And it was a running reactor. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
so.
it had uranium cells in it.
Right, so now that we know that this isn't going to work, we're going to move on and try it again.
Yeah, we're going to step it up a bit with a nuke.
Right, so now we've got a nuke next to a TNT, and we've also got another reactor here, just in case a nuke does it.
So we do know that nukes go off when a TNT explodes next to it, so we're just going to show you that.
So here we go. There goes the TNT, and now the nuke. And there's a goodbye to our server. And once again, you saw pretty much the same thing here. When you use a nuke, or a TNT, or anything to explode your reactor, it doesn't have any kind of extremely dangerous effects.
Yeah, the reactor won't blow up. Because that hole's from a nuke, the reactor one is much bigger.
As you've probably seen. So comment, rate, subscribe, and we will see you guys soon.
See you guys.